1 2. Check 1 2. 1 2. Check 1 2.
Check. Check. Check 2. Check 3.
UConn will just be bringing head coach Dan Hurley.
Thank you.
If anyone else walks in, stops right here.
Check 1. Check 2. Check 3.
Should be. Should be. Ain't gonna hurt nobody. Get on down. That'll fly.
See, I'm listening. Listening's a skill, my man.
Totally a song. This is a hard one, bro. That's what I'm saying. This is a hard one, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Tweet it out. Yeah. This is a difficult one. Now it's over. And then Rick, maybe if he says something. Yeah, it was. Yep. And everything they do is intentional. It ain't no superfluous. They are placed. Everything.
I will be rolling
They're not all on the road.
Roll mine too when you get back there.
naturally mistakes.
Thank you.
Some robust.
Did they fall short? They were 600 on the 7.
They lost.
And just overwhelmed.
I stayed by 8.
Out-executed by the
Oh, okay. I thought they rallied back.
I didn't even see anything specific
Oh.
they did.
Well, it said end of second.
Not
It
really.
wasn't a final, but it said end of second.
That was at the dungeon and everything happened.
No,
I'm not finished. And also, he's trying to against them.
Oh, yeah, okay. 81
It's just fine.
Yeah.
Either or. right, I'm gonna
Why
pass
are you
this
giving up
time.
as many baskets?
All right, I'm gonna
I just didn't know.
you know, they know how to toggle between that.
That is just basketball IQ.
100%. 100%. You gotta do it to get better. And work on it. He told me that yesterday. He watched it in the city. He knows where to go to get a shot.
Feels like
Yeah. No, hell no. He's trying. He's trying.
He doesn't always do it.
He's trying. And they meet exactly. Puts it on there.
That was number one on the post-up.
You kind of understand.
Download list.
Nobody else can score. I gotta score.
I think it was most
much better than James. He still has a little bit of shooting Jimmy.
I don't do it on purpose. They lost the fucking Appalachian.
And doesn't so much as he does. I can see that. I didn't see it that way.
Oh, I don't like it. This is not like it ever was. It's like Georgetown.
Was that away?
He's right.
What, 7 in a row?
Yeah, no, he's 100% right.
I think it's 8.
The thing is, I mean, in A Rock is a good start since. I mean, schedule size, but still. When they fall, one of those compete for a top 3 spot. One.
You won. I might, yeah. You made it all this way.
Almost there. And Newton is on track to do that.
Not been bad at all. I was in the some dudes got kicked out of the section, shouting inappropriate things.
Huh?
Inappropriate things.
High schools?
Wasn't bad.
That's another one.
I'm kind of sorry I didn't sit out there now.
There was no power in my power surge.
You bet your ass they'll have it fixed for the Wizards.
Well, I know it. Yeah, thank goodness we can see that.
They didn't make no copy.
Howard, are you pulling double duty or no? No.
You can make them more uncomfortable.
There's a very good chance they.
That's fair.
They're 9-8.
I mean, that was punched about 3 months
Well,
ago.
not, but it's not officially punched. I mean, well, okay, so the last significant game was the group play, the group in-season group game that they were eliminated. Was that the last relevant night? Really? Well, and then there's different levels of. Yeah, but clinched a losing season, so you get that juice. Oh, God. I think a lot of us thought that it was 50 games at least, but no, I thought, okay, you know, the way things go, you know, it's just, there are wins baked into the schedule. Yes. There are wins baked into somebody's playing like their fourth night, you know, fourth game in 6 nights, and luggage got lost, and maybe there's maybe somebody had some bad, you know, burritos, maybe, you know.
So then the next week I voted for. I wish I could.
How bad is it? Is this team gonna be good by the time they potentially move?
Your problem.
And will it be watchable by that? Because eventually will be. I mean, you could have two really bad, really unwatchable teams. The only thing you can sell is the experience in this new building that hasn't even been built.
Which is why I'm here if there was a second 8 week or 8 week. They were going to the Chase Center and they were going to make sure that maybe they've gone like far.
Supposed to be 28, right?
I think they lost their soul when they sold their soul. Their soul was Oakland.
I mean, fucking more nothing.
I'm surprised they didn't get Jerry Brown as governor.
Right now,
Governor Moonbeam. Gated leather on staff.
He's a Fairfield.
George Lucas did leather on staff for a while too.
Oh, he Johnson. Nah, and he was advertised as a shooter, like a little bit, right? Stretcher, right? Oh yeah, 100%.
So if you're at the AU game the other night with Langer and all, you would have been in and out. AU, in and out, man. You go into the little area and get your interviews. And you go.
We thought he was doing something. Never? You neither? Well, we're both the same. Oh, same one. Yeah, no, same one. Oh, okay. Nah, he's too paranoid about that stuff.
They got 7 to 22.
Yeah, right. You see that?
No. Georgetown was 7 of 22. Yeah. UConn was 12 to 16.
He was going. Here we go.
Something.
His mom was a big time player, right? Yeah, but was like a star up there.
I thought she was going to say
Yeah.
this for the day to the she did.
What?
I said,
Oh, she is?
I thought she was going to
She
say
died, right?
on my date proposal.
statement and then open it up for questions.
Yeah, obviously I thought we did, we were just real mature, I thought, and, really professional to start the game. Offensively, defensively, I think we just made it, made it really hard on them. I think, I think it helped to come in here. I remember coming in here last year, and we played a pretty flat game, and I'm not even sure what the attendance was last year, but just kind of looking around in the anthem and seeing the place kind of have a bunch of fans in here, and I thought there was a pretty good atmosphere, and I think that probably helped our performance, because I think we kind of sleepwalked last year through the game. So obviously the results for Georgetown. Typical year one of rebuilding something that, that Ed's obviously got a heck of a task here. But you could already see the atmosphere for the UConn Georgetown game this year compared to last year. I thought was, was night and day.
You called a timeout with about 6 minutes left there and really laid into the guys. Was there something specific there, or was it just the general second half, maybe human nature type of thing, or was there a specific thing you were upset about there?
Yeah, I just think, that we had a bunch of moments of weakness there in the second half. If you don't keep, foot on gas here in these games, maybe not today, but we're getting to that point of the season where on a made basket, you don't get sprint back and get loaded up to the ball, right? Your season ends and you lose and you go home and you're disappointed with how it ends. So those are habits and behaviors that have to be entrenched, whether you're up 27 with 6 to go or whether you're in a 1-point game. Those are habits that have to be formed, and that's not who we were. We made a 3, and 3 guys on the weak side just jogged back, and I was absolutely just beside myself.
Coach, you spoke about the maturity of this team. Have you felt that way all year, that they are the type of team that could walk into a game that obviously you're expected to win and come up and be this efficient? Yeah,
these are the scariest games. We know we've got some big showdowns coming up down the road here to end the conference slate. These are the games that that scare you the most, because you're afraid that your players will look look at their record and take them lightly. I think what helped us coming into this game was that Georgetown gave us a hard game at home. We ended up winning by double figures, but it was 7, it was 8, it was 9. The one thing that did give us comfort is Georgetown's played better on the road than they have at home. Part of that is the challenge of just Ed getting the atmosphere. You win at home because you've got a great atmosphere. The atmosphere makes it tough on the opponent to play well. So the one thing that we kind of did feel good about coming in is that they've played better on the road than they have at home.
And in the perfect world, is this where you thought that this team would be at this moment, still peaking, not quite there yet, but certainly on a trail of getting there?
Yeah, if everything broke right for us. People talk about what we're trying to do, compared to, what Duke did when my brother was there, the back-to-back, and what Florida did in their back-to-back. What we're attempting to do, I think, is far, far harder. Those teams returned all of the big guys. So obviously, when you put the roster together at the end of last season and you're working through the summer, you see, like, we have 5 starters that are all going to be double figures and are going to range between 10, 11 a game to 15, 16 a game. There's not many teams in the country that have probably as good a starting 5 as we have. And then, we're potentially a lead on offense, a lead on defense, and we really rebounded well. So we're not vulnerable in a lot of spots right now.
Dan, we talked about the interior game on the glass and scoring inside when they played in Hartford, but then today, you guys scored 48 points in the paint, won the rebounding battle. Just what was different, and what did you like from the guys?
We're getting better against the switch. We've played against switching so much. Teams that that don't switch. They don't want to deal with our man stuff, so they're switching 1 through 4, on ball, off ball, 1 through 4, 1 through 5, even with Donovan, just because they don't want to chase us with the stuff that we run. So we've now faced switching enough times that we're getting better at playing versus the switch. And then Donovan's a weapon at the key. As people are cutting and moving, he's such a good passer. And then when he doesn't have an open cutter, now he's grenading it for a late ball screen and roll, and you have a 7-3 guy rolling to the rim. So, we're coming up with solutions against the switch. That's helped a lot.
John Titel from Hoops HD. Castle has now scored 17 or more in 3 of his past 4. Do you think
He had 17 today?
I believe.
I thought he was horrible in the beginning. Kamani told me he played good at the end.
Do you think it is due to his self-confidence or your confidence in him or the natural progression through a freshman season or something else?
Yeah, I think with him, you give all the credit to his humility. You give all the credit to his parents. He doesn't, I've said this a bunch, he doesn't have fans. He's got parents. When the other night he was bad against Butler. He had a bad game after 2 great games. And his dad, Craig, ripped him. Didn't rip me or Kamani. So when you have that and you have his talent, things are going to go well. So credit to the family.
You mentioned the big man kind of QBing at the elbow, your split game.
Yeah.
How important was that today? 'Cause it really put them on their heels, I thought, and they really couldn't adjust.
We got some great cutters. I mean, Steph's a great cutter. Alex is a great cutter. Cam's a great cutter. We've got guys that move without the ball. The ball screen's a big part of our offense, but we don't rely on it as much as maybe some other people. But, he's a weapon up there because he's so tall, so he could see everything, and it creates problems for the opponent.
And Tristan seemed to have his hand wrapped, and he only took 3 shots, 9 assists. Was he consciously being more of a distributor today?
Yeah, he was banged up. I don't want to say anything in the pregame because then you never know. It's like in the NFL, right? If you say somebody's got a hand injury, maybe somebody's going to try to smack the shit out of his hand or something. So I didn't say nothing about it. But yeah, he played hurt, but he also played what we're all about. He played because today was Alex's day. Today was Steph's day, and that's today. Today was Sampson's day in the ball screen game, and that's the great thing about this team was, Donovan could come off of an 18-14, and 18-14. Cam could come off of the game he just had. Tristan could come off, and they're willing to allow somebody else to be the hero offensively because it's all about winning for us.
Last one right here. Yeah, Coach. Jaden Epps came in 3rd leading scorer in the Big East, and your guys were able to hold him to 4 points. How were you able to accomplish that? Yeah,
I think he's just even watching it. I think in the Seton Hall game, I think he's gone out of his way to facilitate more and try to play, more like a point guard. So I think he's trying to adapt. Obviously, our length, Tristan 6'5", we've Steph 6'6". We've got big guards, and I think obviously that that potentially bothers him.
So we'll have student athletes available outside the locker room.
Thank you. Appreciate you, my man.
Kids have bought into this shit. It just ain't the coaches thing, right? Everything got attention, and they're coaching each other.
And he would know what good is, or at least some semblance.
Or some semblance of it. He's
You are the best. I appreciate this so much. Oh, where do you begin? It's a lot to unwrap. I thought we didn't show up. I can't believe we were so listless, lifeless, not physical, not connected, not verbal. We didn't communicate. There's a lot of reflection that has to go in, which I'm really, really surprised at. This is the third game in a row we played at home where we were supported at a really, really high level. So I want to thank our crowd for coming. I'm disappointed that we're not delivering on our end from an execution standpoint, from a communication standpoint, from a physical standpoint, a competitive nature. Our last 3 games here, we just have not played well. I mean, everybody in the organization's really got to take a deep dive into what our purpose is. And I'll tell our guys all the time, you got to give to the game. When you don't give to the game, it's never going to pay you back. If anything, the energy we showed today and displayed today to me just was not very good, and that's something that we'll work on as we got a quick turnaround, as we got to go to Creighton in the next, 48 hours. We got to try to figure this thing out in a really quick way because it's disturbing, and I want to make sure that our guys continue to fight, continue to battle, and it's my job to make sure that we get our guys organized.
Ed, as they punch that thing out 5 minutes into the game, 9-0 run or whatever it was, did you feel a sense of, players maybe thinking, here we go again? Was that there, or was it simply just not there from the start, basically?
I don't think it was there from the start. I think it's a fair question. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. And normally you can feel something within the game, but let's call this what it is. You got the #1 team in the country in your building on national television. So we all got to kind of look at ourselves here, right? I'm not saying we have to be the most talented team, but I'll be damned if you can't be the most hungry team, if you can't have effort, energy, and enthusiasm. And that starts with me, right? That starts with me. I'm accountable to this, and the only people that can fix it are the ones in the room. So that's what we're going to do.
You mentioned #1 team in the country. The contrast between the way they went about things, the precision with which they play, the sideline and baseline out of bounds plays, all that stuff. How substantial a contrast is that in your mind relative to your guys, and how much of it is kind of this is what you're aiming to get to as quickly as you can?
A lot in that question. Goes to tell you how much they've been together. It goes to tell you when you look around the country and you have a lot of transfers and you have a lot of people on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and sometimes 5th coaches of continuity, of understanding. Their DNA, they're really connected, right? They have some really good players. They're very well coached. They're organized. We have a long way to go to achieve that. But that's the goal. That's where we're trying to go. We're not just trying to go there to match them. We're trying to exceed it. And, man, do we have a long road to get to there. But you know what? That's the conversation, the possibility to get to.
Yeah, Coach, Carabin went for 25 points on 10 of 14 shooting, and it's a few times now that somebody's had not just a big night, but a big, efficient day against Georgetown.
Sure.
How in the future do you need to adapt to prevent the hot hand from getting and staying hot?
Sometimes that's not coming from the sidelines so much as it coming from pride, coming from understanding, alertness. We got to take some pride in our defense. Like right now, let's call this what it is. Our defense is absolutely atrocious. It's atrocious. And I got to do a better job. Our staff has to do a better job. Our players have to do a better job with an understanding of no matter – there's plenty of games. I saw a game last night. I think it was 49-47. 49-47. Toughness travels, defense travels, emotions travel, communication travel. Nobody got time for soft. Nobody got time for bad body language. Nobody got time for listless. I said in the huddles today, I can take missed shots. I can take turnovers. I can't take woe is me. So we got a quick turnaround, and let's see if we can fix that attitude.
Coach, their center pick and roll and killed you all game, hurt you all game, and as well as their split game. Was it just a lack of connectivity on your part, communication, effort, or all of the above? What happened?
Plus. Sometimes in games like this, you don't watch. We'll watch this here, right? You know, because you can't just keep flushing things down, and we got to go back and learn and see it. But it all starts with your energy and enthusiasm. It really does. It starts with your mindset and focus and, you know, really concentrating on what are we doing? What's the purpose? And again, I get it. We've lost several games in a row, but that's what we signed up for. That's what the Big East is, right? And that no, they're the best in the country. So I was a little bit disappointed on our approach.
What would you attribute Epps' struggles today to?
Yeah, I'll have a conversation, but I don't have that answer. I mean, I don't, and that's a fair question, right? I always say this: the point guard, the head coach, and the best player could never have a bad day. And all three of us today were god-awful, right? I should have just stayed in bed and had you coach the damn team.
John Teitel from Hoops HD. You've now faced the #1 team in the nation twice this year, and you faced them in the past. Do you have a sense of whether they're as good as their championship team of last year?
You know, I coached Georgetown. I've coached against them my entire career. You know, they're very good. You know, to try to say they're better than this one, they're better than that one. They won a national championship last year, and they're #1 in the country this year. I'm always going to cheer for the Big East in the tournament. I don't know if they're better. I know they're damn good. I don't know if they're better, worse, or whatever. All I know is last time I checked, they were #1 in the country, and they've run off like 10 or 11 in a row. That's the best I can answer that. I can't coach that group. You know, I got a lot on my hands to coach my team.
Back to Caravan, he had 25 today. He had 26 last month. What is it about him that makes him such a tough matchup for you guys?
You know, I think he's a hell of a player. I think they found some holes in our defense both times we played him. Sometimes it's like, you know, just like in tournament play, it's about matchups. And, you know, his matchup is well against ours, right? He's a hybrid player who's going against some of our hybrid players, and he's just been better in 2 games, right? I mean, there's no question about it. He's a high-level player. He can play a lot of different ways. Good player, man. I mean, it's sometimes you just feel good playing against a certain system.
At the last 4 minutes of the first half or so, I felt like you guys were a little more physical on defense. They got to the line.
We were not physical one part of today's game.
No. Okay.
Not one. Not one part of today's game.
I was going to ask about whether there was some how much pleading, demanding, whatever was there for that at that point. Since they did make more trips to the foul line than at any other point in the game.
Well, you know, you have to have some intelligence with your defense as far as angles, personnel, how you're scouting. You know what I mean? Like, it's the second time we've played them. So we should have a feel of how they play. And again, as much as this is on me, this is an accountability across the board with all of our men, right? We were not physical today at all, right? At all. Our physicality was left somewhere in the hotel or on Georgetown's campus today. We just didn't show up. We didn't. And it's unfortunate because I love the way the people came out to support our men today, and I'm grateful for that. And I want to win for our team, our community, our fans, our alum, our former players, our supporters. You know, we got to give ourselves a chance. We haven't given ourselves a chance to win in here the last three times we played in here at all.
Obviously a tough loss, but is there anything you can take from a better second half as you look to
Not
bounce
one.
back?
There's not one damn thing I'm going to take from this that I feel good about. Not one thing. Not one. Energy, effort, and attitude, that's what it starts with. And we were F- on every part of today's game. There's not one thing I'm going to take from today that I'm going to walk into that locker room with our men and try to – I'm not going to lie to them. We played bad. We weren't prepared physically, emotionally, mentally, and that's coaching. That's coaching. I'm not going to run from this at all, right? We got a long way to go to be the organization we want to be. But if you don't have the energy and you don't have the effort and attitude, These are the results when you play in these levels. These are the number one team in the country, you know? So it's not so much what the coaching is doing, it's what the kids are learning. We can coach our ass off. If they're not learning anything, it's falling on deaf ears.
Thank you, everyone.
Tried to bounce. He got so close.
So close, so far.